Hey there, everybody. Hope you are feeling wonderful today and ready for a great Pilates session. Thank you for joining me. So, today, first off, our idea of the day kindness. The word kindness, I think it's a beautiful word, and it's one we've heard lots, obviously, over the last year, or especially the last 6, 8 months since COVID began, and our lovely leader, Jacinda, um, took to the word and spread that word. So, what I found when I was reading was that. They say that research links kindness to a wealth of physical and emotional benefits, and that studies have shown when people are kind, they have lower levels of stress hormones and their fight or flight response calms down. So less depression, less lonely and happier. So there you go. So just a word of encouragement, obviously, today as you go about your day, see where you can add a little bit more kindness, whether it's, helping somebody out with the door or, paying for the person before you use coffee or something lovely like that. It doesn't have to be extreme, but I hope that doing so fills you with joy and gives you a wonderful buzz of happiness. So with that, we'll go straight into our warm-up. We've got our 8 exercises today, which I think you'll enjoy. And then we've got a high plank with a foot tap today with our upper body core sort of strength work at the end as well before we stretch. So let's get straight into it. So starting off up on your feet with a big deep breath in through the nose. And we roll forward. We take our hands forward. We're going to hop it in downward dog for a couple of moments here. Pressing the heels down, taking the chest down towards the heels. Feeling that great stretch through the hamstrings and through the bottom of the arms. We're going to come forward, rolling forward onto our plank position, parallel to the floor, and then aiming to stay up on the toes if we can, or onto the knees into a cobra. Squeeze and wrap the glutes, the shoulders back and down, and pulling back into child's pose. Keeping the breath flowing. We're going to come up, pulling the right leg forward first into a lunge. Shoulders pressed down and back. Eye line or gaze just seat of your fingertips. From there, we're going to come up into a triangle pose. Another great hamstring stretch. Hamstrings have been a theme lately with our sit and reach competition within the studio. So a good stretch here to help lengthen those hemis. From there, we're actually swing that right front leg back behind into a lovely lift. Aiming to stretch that leg as far back as you can, keeping the hips and shoulders square. You then can bend that knee and it enhances the hip flexor stretch there. Extend once again and swipe on through to your lunge. Taking now an opposite arm to leg opener. Draw back down. Legs back to downward dog. Holding the belly button to spine. And walking the hands back to the feet. Soft knees. Rolling on up. Big deep breath in. And exhale, down we go. Gliding through, keeping those knees soft. Hover in the downward dog. And pulling into high plank. Gliding down to the floor, then to cobra. And then coming up onto the toes, into left foot forward, lunge. Big deep breath. And straightening that front knee. And we're finding our triangle pose. Keeping your feet parallel, toes forward, hips up to the ceiling. Now, if you found that this one wasn't that manageable, and you're not able to touch the floor without bending your knees, straighten the legs. Make sure that's your focus, but just bring your body up to here. You might rest along your legs somewhere, that's okay. hammies aren't really your longest muscle. Cool, from there we're swing that leg back, keeping the heel on the standing leg down, and finding that lovely lift, keeping the shoulders and hips square, then bending, wrapping that leg around the corner to enhance the stretch there. And then extending once again to come through back into the lunge and opening through the chest. And the sun seems to have come out here, be it late, but it's gorgeous and hot. Nice. Hope you're feeling warm too, getting warmer as we go. And then coming back into downward dog. And walking the hands back to the feet. Soft knees. Gliding on up. Shoulders back and down. Lovely. We are good to get started. So the first of our 8 exercises is heel taps. Now, as you probably come to know of me, I like to start off on the back and get sort of acquainted with those abdominal muscles. We use our calves a little bit when we use our heel taps. These are a variation on our knee floats, heel taps, and these are a great way to get warmed up and started slow and steady. So if we come first off onto the floor, I'm going to bring my camera down for you. Where the lights are. It's quite bright in here, which is nice. So on the back, we are going to activate the belly button to the spine, draw and close, feel that nice sense of imprinting, and then rising up into an arch, and then back down into a neutral spine. So feeling that tension, softly brewing in here. Hands down. We're then going to take one knee, then the other up to tabletop, and we're going to flex the feet, which, as I mentioned earlier, will actually activate the calves. We're then going to tap the heel down gently and then pull back up. Exhale to lower, inhale to lift. Exhale, lower, inhale, lift. So slow and steady with this one, just warming up and finding a good connection with your abdominals. And for some reason, as soon as you focus on tapping a heel down, it feels heavier, a heavier load than what our toe tap does. Also seems to take a little bit more range than obviously what the toe does. So by now you should be well feeling those tummy muscles warming up. And if you find that touching down on the heel to the floor actually brings your back up and makes you work your spine in a slightly bothersome way, you might not go the full way. You might go to around this point and then back up. Okay, so we're really focusing with any lowering work, any leg lowering work, it's the lower abdominals into the transverse that we should be feeling here. Go one more there, and then gently tap the feet down to the floor to relax. A little bit of warmth in those thighs as well, quads burning slightly there too. So shoulders back and down. We're going to then place our hands gently behind our head. By no means a grip, just a nice little tap behind, keeping the shoulders wide. And we're going to have a look at some crunches. Typical crunches, we're aiming to get the top section of the abdominals working now. So big breath in. On the exhale, drawing the chin to chest, coming up. And then exhale as you lower down. Inhale, prepare. Exhale, lift. Inhale, prepare. Exhale, lift. Now we've got the technique, the chin to the chest, surrounding the spine. We're going to aim for a little bit more speed. Up, down, up, down, up, down. And 5, right to the heart of the movement. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Relax. Excellent. Putting them both into action a little bit more now. We've got our dead bug, our third exercise of the day. So for a dead bug, we're going to start with our hands beside us. You're going to lift the, say, left leg first with the right arm up to your tabletop position and the arm reaching to the ceiling, and then gently lower down. So this is sort of your level 1 dead bug. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. So the control to avoid any quick drop down is what we're after here, keeping it really smooth. And then each time you drop down, aim to pop the foot on the toe instead of the full flat foot. Now if that's feeling okay, we can then bring in a slightly different arm setup, which is taking both arms overhead and then going about it from there. And what you'll find is because of the stretch that you're receiving here through the body, you're more inclined to forget about the abs and actually let the ribs sort of bulge out up. So try and keep them calm, feel like you're closing off the bird cage doors as such of the rib cage, and keep them really still, drawn down by the abdominals. So I often think about the connection of having a rope from the bottom here of your ribs and having the abs attached and letting the abs pull that section down to keep the control. We know that as soon as the ribs bulge, that the back is coming and most likely the abs have gone to rest. So we do want to be careful that the abs are staying on, the back staying out, which means the ribs are kept calm. Just go for a couple more there. Good coordination provided in the body with this one too. Opposite arm to leg, which is of course how we walk as well. And we'll go one more each side there. Awesome. We're going to put some more tension on those abs. We're going to bring the hands down beside our hips. And we're going to take one leg up to the ceiling and now the other. So we've done our leg circles before. The teardrop, our next exercise, is about using a double leg lever. Now I'm going to swing slightly to the side so you can see the shape of my legs. So a teardrop naturally has a big round bottom and then comes in and up at the top. Now the shape and or the size more so of your teardrop depends on your ability. So I'm just going to take a moment. You're welcome to carry on. If you're able to go really low, very light here, low with that shape and then pull up into a nice high sort of edge of the teardrop or tip of the teardrop up the top here, fantastic. But you may find that you start to arch your spine. So just work with a shape and a height of your movement and shape of that teardrop that works for you. The higher the teardrop sits, the easier. The lower and the bigger the teardrop becomes, the harder it will be. So just take note of that as you go about this one. You will need to make sure you're not too close to the wall so you can fit it in. And if you do feel like your stability is not quite there, a T shape in your arm setup can be helpful. So we have down, split apart, come in and up. Down, split apart, in and up. And I'm taking real care to keep those tummy muscles activated and strong, making sure we don't feel our back drip up off the floor. Down, around, and up. Now we're going to go for a reverse teardrop. So down, out, into the middle and up. Okay, I'll just turn that one slightly once again. I'll take my arms out this time. So down, outside, down to the middle, and up. So this is quite a strong, while it's a simple concept, it's a very strong loading on the abdominals. So do take care, keeping your range and your focus. Definitely great for those transverse lower abdominals. We'll go one more there. And up. Excellent. So not being a hero and aiming for too much range with those ones. The next thing we're going to do is a clam. So you're going to come onto your sideline position. And I want you to just think of a long shape first of all. So from the hands to the shoulders, to the hips, and the feet in a nice straight line. And then I want you to slightly draw your feet together forward. So I'm talking a couple of inches. And then I want you to draw the knees up, keeping the feet on that line. So by the time you found your clam position here, you should be feeling like your head, your hips, and your heels now are in a straight line. So if you just take up a little look, draw your feet up, That's the line we're after, a nice straight line down the body. From there, I want you to activate your glutes. So wrap and squeeze, feel the belly button drawing to the spine, and you're going to open and close the knee. So every time the knee is opened, it should be activated using the glute muscle. So squeeze and wrap, and then gently lowering down. Squeeze and hold, and lower down. So that's the height of the movement there. Now, if you've been working with us lately, you might have seen our elevated clam. So if this one is doing a great amount for you and you're quite happy establishing that glute activation there, you're welcome to stay right there. Another thing you can do to enhance that is to add a band around the top of your thighs there, the bottom of the knee, on top of the knee joint, so make sure it's not on the actual knee cap itself. And that way you'll be adding some resistance there. Or another way to do it without gear, adding some tension, is to lift the heels, open and close from there. So that way you're already under more contraction, intensifying the contraction that you receive at the top of the movement. Okay, so just going to go over a couple more there. Open and close, keeping the knees nice and still without waving around too much. And lower down gently. Awesome, switching sides. So hopefully throughout that you're able to keep your hips really nice and still through that bracing of your tummy muscles. Goodness me, there's something over here. So we have our feet, heels, hips and face head in one straight line. We start with the lift and the lower. The lift and the lower. I'm just going to pause you and put down some screens so you can see me better. Give me 1 second. There we go. You can see me a bit better now. So we have knees closed off, the opening and the closing of the knee. Belly button to spine. And keeping those hips square and braced. Nice. Exhale on the lift. Inhale on the lower. And then if you are wanting some more challenge, remember to lift those knees up. So if you weren't sure of that movement, it was just lifting the heels and then drawing the knee up from there, maintaining the height of those heels. Exhale to lift, inhale to lower. Nice work. So this is our exercise number 5 of our set today. Go for a couple more. And lower down. Awesome. So you should be feeling in the side of your glute there, the little glute med, glute min area, your work here. Now we're going to do some work more for the glute here on top. So coming to a lying position on your front, on your tummy, hands out in front with your head rested upon your forearms there. You're going to make sure, first of all, if you're sitting here kind of casual, natural, that you are drawing down. So that activation of the glutes, pulling the belly button away from the floor. And then we're going to be lifting the front leg, then switching. So it's almost like a little swimmer action, making sure you keep a strong straight leg. And the flutter kicks are designed each time to give you a contraction in the glutes. So I'm just going to take my head down to show you the speed. To keep everything nice and square, so you don't have a sore neck. So switch, 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 nice and quick. Belly button to spine. And keeping those legs straight. You'll notice if you have your feet parallel versus turned out, it's a slightly different activation as well. So do what you feel is perhaps more challenging. For me, being quite turned out, actually, having the parallel legs is very helpful because it engages muscles I'm not so used to using. And for me, mostly the hamstrings. And we're going to relax. Let's take a little stretch after all of that work and give those muscles a rest. So coming into child's pose. Next, we're going to come back onto our front and we're going to be doing rocking on the stomach. Believe it or not, that is its name, rocking on the stomach. And this obviously involves rocking on the stomach while you're in your bow pose. So bow pose is a setup of grabbing the back of the foot there, or I should say the front of the foot, on one side, and on the other, lifting the chest up, shoulders pressed down, and you're wanting to find the extra little bit of lift there. So just holding the pose, you will feel a great stretch in your chest, and obviously a lovely feeling of stretch and lengthen through the front of your abs there. So as you get started, your static position should become a rocking one. So by doing a little forceful action back, I'll show you it again, you're building up the momentum so you can actually get a rock. So you're lifting with power, rocking forward, and you do need to kind of start with a bit of power from the body, and then it happens more organically. Okay, so here, really powerful position, silly as you might feel, to relax, to open out the body in a way that we don't often do. A lot of our work, as you will find me saying, I talk often about how we're so curved, we're forward bending, we're over phones and computers, so to do everything in the opposition is really helpful. While we don't want to hang out there all day, it's a really important spot to find just to give your body a balance. So we'll just go one more of those. Make sure you take some breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. One and then the other. Grip, lift, and rock. And obviously using the glutes strongly as well. Relax on down. And hands out in front. Let's pull back into child's pose. All right, so last one. The final exercise we're going to do today, good challenger, is called a control balance. So we are similar to our corkscrew in some respect, but we kind of experiment and dabble with it a bit. I'd suggest if you have a little watch first, just to sort of see what we're doing here, and then you can jump on into it. So we're going to take a big deep breath in. And on the exhale, we're going to swing our legs up to a shoulder stand. From there, the idea is to find your control balance, your control in that hover position. Then the idea is to tap the leg down, tap it forward, and bring it back. Okay, so each leg alternates. We have tap down, bring past the other leg, just swing up. Naturally, if I go much higher than that, my body will want to fall. So I'm trying to just keep the control of the balance. So each leg alternating, back, past, and center. Back, past, and center. Okay, so hopefully by now you're kind of giving that one a go. Now you've seen the idea of what goes on. Definitely not a super comfortable position to be in, but I must say I do love the feeling of stretching through that lower back. A lot of us, roll on down there with control. A lot of us find we have back pain that rests in that center, lower back area through the center here. So very helpful to get a little bit of release through and establish a different position to what we are used to. So that one is a work in progress. You might find that actually just working up to holding your legs above your head there is an absolute mission. So totally cool just to sit and hang out there and build up to that for a while. And then it might be a matter of actually building up to just getting the legs up, getting up to the shoulder stand, and then maybe working with a little bit of sway in the legs. So please don't feel like that's the be all end all. It is an advanced work, but it works, so good to build up. So before we head into our stretching, we have our plank of the day. This time we're going to work with our high plank again because we've had a look at that so far in its basic form of just the static hold. This time we're going to be adding some leg work, some foot taps in there as well. So if we come to our 4-point kneel first off and establish our nice straight strong back, pressing the heels of the hands to the floor, making sure that up the arm we keep a soft elbow, not locking at our wrists, keep them rounded so that the elbows are getting supported, not locked out in the joint. We're then going to pull up onto the toes, and from there we're going to tap the foot out, tap the foot back in. So the position you've learnt last week is what we hover, and we're just tapping the feet. Out, down, in. Out, down, in. Just make sure you're breathing because it's a quicker movement. You might need to breathe in for one, out for each side, for one breath being right left. Now, with a different focus, I want you to see if you can imagine you're on glass and tap the feet super soft, keeping the control. One more each side, and drop the knees gently, pull back to child's pose. So there is your high plank foot tap. Obviously, you can also do that one on a low plank as well, but that's something you can give a go depending on what you like best. The good part of doing it on a lower plank is that we don't have that challenge of making sure our wrist and elbow is always safe, but kinder on the wrists as well. But that's totally something up to you with how you prefer to work. Obviously great for the core as well. Excellent, so let's get stretching. I think it's time we did something for our backs. So if we pull our feet out in front and round through the spine. So lots of back work today, some good stretching but good releasing and some good strengthening in there as well. And then sitting forward, we're going to bring our chest up to the ceiling, drag your butt down towards the heels for that nice opener through the front of the chest. Cool. From there, a bit of hip flexor work. So taking in your legs to a Z sit, and then this leg in front, I'm going to face it and then lean straight back from it. And that way, should be getting a nice stretch through the front of the hip there. Keeping the glutes on strong so that we don't lose the posture. Keeping the chest up and the eyes up. Breathing into it. And of course, if this feeling is feeling quite manageable, feel free to come on down to the full range down the bottom, aiming to keep this hip down. And drawing up from there, other side. So this leg that is tucked in behind is your focal point in terms of where you align your body. Just make sure your heel is tucked in as close as you can to look after your knee there. Shoulders down and back. And then drawing back. Apologies for the brief pause earlier. Just thought it might be important that you can actually see me amongst this beautiful sunshine streaming in here. Cool, we're going to come up from there and come up into a kneel. So a nice easy transition into that one. Into a kneel, and actually if I flip sideways, you'll be able to see my heels lifted here. If I bring my weight forward and then aim to press the heel down as best as I can there, that's the answer to getting a lovely calf stretch. Shoulders back and down, big deep breaths. And switching sides. Pushing the heel down. Now, a lot of people love this one. There's a few around that I've met that don't sort of find quite the right sensation there. So a good option to do if you aren't feeling that is to jump up into your downward dog and pulse your heels out that way. That's a really good way of getting your calf stretch in. For the glutes, my favourite, the cow position. Knees stacked, feet either side, and then drawing forward. Shoulders back and down. Nice. Big deep breaths. And switching sides. So as we finish off this section of our workout and our completion of our Pilates session today, I want you to take that word kindness out into a day. So whether it's with your kids, with your partner, friends, or just a random person in a store or along the street, if it's just saying hello, if it's giving them a smile, if it's doing something you don't normally do, leaving a treat or something for a loved one, popping in to say hello to somebody you might not normally, see if that can be an inspiration for your day or your weekend ahead. And to finish, we'll just do some neck stretches for you. So just sitting in a comfortable spot, heavy arms and shoulders down, tipping the head to the side. Closing your eyes if you'd like to, bring a bit of zen into your body. And then of course there's the aspect of kindness about being kind to ourselves as well. And that's in all aspects, whether it's that you're a hard worker and you need to just be kind and give yourself some you time, whether it's that you're a hard workout girl and you need to give your body some rest, a day's rest off the training. Maybe you've got an injury that's niggling that you know you have been a little bit negligent of and just pushing through. Might be time to be kind and give yourself the gift of rehab, whether it's going to a therapist of some kind, whether it's for your mind, your body, physiotherapist, or having a talk to somebody about something that's bothering you. Just be kind to yourself. Excellent. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will look forward to seeing you really soon. Have a good one.